Joining us this morning, Titania Jordan.
Tatiana Jordan. Did I get the name right? Jordan?
Titania.
Titania. Okay. All right.
It's Titania Jordan. All right, so I'm here with Cameron and Adam of Atlas Bay VR. Let's start off with the name. Well, what does the name mean?
That's a great question. We were having trouble figuring that out.
Yeah.
That seems like that's kind of a hard part, and we didn't really have a focus group or anything that we could lean on to figure that out. So we just called up a bunch of buddies and kind of had some drinks and started thinking about, hey, what can we name this company? Came up with a few ideas, and somebody threw out the Atlas and Bay, and kind of stuck with both of us because we both grew up around water, really like water sports and fishing, swimming, all that good stuff. And then we are both interested in space. We're both engineers, we're both very nerdy. And Atlas is actually the rocket that sent John Glenn into space for the first time.
Wow.
The Atlas rocket. So
see, I should
we were
know
like,
that.
oh, it's kind of makes sense, and then it kind of stuck.
Yeah.
That's great. I love that. I love when there's story behind names. And naming things is so much fun, especially with friends over drinks. So like,
it was a lot harder than we expected. I mean,
it
took a few weeks of just going back and forth. I mean, we thought that was going to be something real quick and easy, and it definitely was not the case at all.
Well, so you've got the URL, atlasbayvr.com, so that's great.
Yeah.
And your specialty is real estate.
Real estate, virtual reality, yes.
So, you know, there are so many buzzwords right now. AR, VR, IoT, blockchain, like what does it all mean, you know? And so let's talk about the specific use case of virtual reality for real estate. What does that mean for the general public?
There's a ton to start with, because just like you said, it's not just virtual reality is one specific thing. Within virtual reality, there's mobile virtual reality. There's 360-degree actual video and photo. Then there's full VR and high-end stuff that you can actually walk through. So we actually use it in its entirety, the whole entire spectrum. And what we try to do is have somebody get an experience that they cannot get elsewhere using this immersive media of virtual reality.
Okay.
And augmented reality and mixed reality and all those different terms that we're talking about.
And then when it applies to the real estate industry, we like to start off as early as possible. So during the development and the design phase of it, as soon as they break ground, we get in, we work with the architect, the interior designer, and we help them make those design decisions.
Wow.
So that the managing director can come in who doesn't have the time to go through every single plan or every single PDF of interior design and say, you know, just put everything together. So he can just come in, put on the headset and be able to tour the space. We take that all the way through to the marketing side. So once it's done, we're able to take the potential tenant through the space as well.
Wow. So definitely a time-saving element, probably reduces errors as well.
Significantly.
Yeah.
Getting everybody on the same page and in one room really helps reduce the timeline of making decisions. So quicker decision making, reduce errors, and catch them what we call in phase. Our backgrounds are both engineering from a defense contractor. So when you're going through, if you catch a latent defect in the process way later, that's obviously going to cost a lot more than if you catch it early in the phase.
Well, yeah. Talk about some of those defects. Like what's something that could possibly come up that you wouldn't catch if you hadn't used your service and
Sure.
product?
You want to talk about like the library?
Yeah, so we're doing an amenity space for a development. Actually, it's here in Atlanta. It's right by the Braves Stadium.
Nice.
And it's currently under construction, and all the plans were completely approved by the developer. The architect had everything ready to go. They actually started construction, and we ended up building it out for VR. So like I was saying before, the managing director put on the headset, walked through, and his first thought was, this isn't what we're actually building.
Wow.
And the architect was saying, yes, it is. You approved it. You know, we have your signature right here. I mean, we're moving ahead. He goes, no, we're going to change this completely. And the changes that they made afterwards actually ended up would have saved them $100,000.
Whew.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because they would have built it all out and then had to tear it all down, rebuild it. So that's not only $100,000 of savings, but it's complete schedule savings for a project that was already a little bit behind schedule.
Right.
Yeah.
And what was the disconnect between the plan and then what he saw?
Well, a lot of times it's really hard for people to understand the 3D aspect of 2D plans.
Yeah.
So all you're seeing is just either a top-down view or a section view, an elevation view of what this space is supposed to look like. But actually having that in your mind's eye is really difficult. So what we like to do with the virtual reality is take people who aren't used to just looking at plans. An architect can probably visualize the space because they've done it a lot of times before. But somebody who doesn't have time to look at all the plans and really know that, or somebody who can't really visualize it, they can just put on a headset in VR, look around and point out, I don't like that. And immediately people understand what they're talking about because it's so visual.
It also helps from a construction standpoint too, because they like to bring in the construction teams, the guys who are actually building it, and have them put on the headset too, and then they can see how everything's supposed to go as opposed to, like Cameron was saying, just looking at a 2D drawing.
Yeah, I mean, as you get older, you realize that there are stark differences in the way people learn and process information, whether it's kinetic or auditory, etc. So it's so nice to have this added element to make that process easier. How did you realize that this was a viable business opportunity to start this company? Obviously, your tech backgrounds and engineering and the business and real estate side, but when did you make that decision, like, wow, like, we need to start this company, this is a business, we're going to generate revenue, we're going to scale?
Do you want to talk about the start at Raytheon?
Sure. I mean, we use this technology, this type of technology, for 5 years ago in the defense industry, but it was very expensive, millions of dollars for huge systems that now cost in the couple grand range, which is excellent for other businesses because they don't really have as deep pockets. So using that, the first time I got into virtual reality, I said, wow, this I put on the headset, this is amazing. I can look at everything like it's actually there. The visuals were very intense. So as soon as I did that, we started using it for training purposes, for training people to put together our different products, etc. We use it for design aspects. So we started thinking about what other industries are there that kind of would be able to use the same thing. And right now it's education, training, there's a lot of sports, there's a lot of retail aspects of it, defense. There's just a ton of different places. So Adam at the time was going to get his MBA.
So we worked together as engineers out in Arizona, and then I left to go do a full-time MBA program at the University of North Carolina. And there my concentration was in real estate development.
Yeah.
So at the time, wasn't thinking anything to do with virtual reality, starting a company with Cameron at all. Just going through the MBA process, get an internship, and then a full-time job afterwards. So I actually ended up getting an internship in real estate development doing building apartment complexes. And it was actually based here in Atlanta. So the summer of 2015, I was down here working in that field, and I got to see and understand that process and some of the disconnects between, like we were saying, with the architects and the developers and the communication, and how hard that can be. So finished up that internship, went back and was going to finish my second year of the MBA program, and I think it was this time about 2 years ago, I was on Christmas break, and I just drove up. Cameron was living in Atlanta at the time. Just came up to visit him and just kind of hang out, and we were just having some drinks and just started talking about the technology again. And then I was talking about how it can be used in real estate, and we just kind of started exploring the idea from there.
Yeah, so I don't know if there was a real cataclysmic moment that said this is what we should do, but from that point on we said, okay, let's take some baby steps because we're very risk averse engineers. We said, hey, let's figure out how we can prove this concept. So we came up with a minimum viable product and figured out how to do that, because my background is not in game development or 3D modeling or that kind of thing. I did a little bit of that, but it's a whole different world than what we're doing now. So we had to teach ourselves that, then figure out who to talk to see if this was actually a viable thing. So we took it up to UNC.
Yeah, I mean, luckily I was still at UNC at the time, and I was able to take the virtual reality gear, set it up on campus, and just have people come out, try on the headset, try out our minimal viable product, and just get the reaction. And when I went in, I was hoping to get 5 to 10 of my friends to try it out. I had a survey afterwards for them to fill out.
Nice.
And we were in the cafeteria, and it just started off with a handful of people. But then other people would start showing up because someone would be in the headset looking at things that aren't there.
Right.
And then it just started drawing in a crowd. So then people would come up and say, hey, what are you doing? Can I try that next? So again, I went from wanting to get 5 to 10 people to, I think I was having over 100 that day of just trying it out. And then it started clicking a little bit of, okay, we think we might have something here.
Right, and the survey showed great results. They said, especially these being MBA students, they knew what a competitive advantage would really be. So those are the kinds of questions we asked them. Hey, would you rent an apartment sight unseen, which was what our minimum viable product was, before using this? If it wasn't built, would you even attempt to say, yeah, you know what, I might sign a lease? And 50% said, no, I wouldn't even think about it before they did this. After they did it, it went up to 80% would say, yeah, you know what, I would actually consider it if I got to see this.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, it was a 30% increase just in that, and 100% of respondents said that they would tell their family and friends about the experience. So I mean, it's great marketing, and that's what a lot of the 360-degree video and photos are used as right now. There's a lot of marketing potential, but the higher end stuff that we're really invested in has, I think, a lot more legs when it comes to design aspect and those kinds of things.
Who are the key prospects that you're targeting right now for your technology? Like, what would be a big win?
We primarily go after major commercial real estate developers. Okay. So developers who are building apartment complexes, doing retail, high-rise office. Anything in that realm is who we've been targeting.
Cool, awesome.
Yeah, it makes sense because right now they get the biggest ROI. It's pretty expensive to do a pretty bespoke experience that's very customized to exactly what they're building, their vision of their project is going to be. So that's really what's driving the adoption is the consumer business-to-business model that we have. Because right now, if we went to somebody who's building a new home, just one-off home, it might not make sense for the cost.
Right.
As that cost comes down, then it's going to start getting into that market. For places that already exist in homes, there's 360-degree scanning that you can put into VR, and places like Matterport, which we offer their service, being able to go and scan a home and then put that on the market, people being able to view it from any angle, online, on their tablet or iPad, and then putting their phone into a VR headset and then physically walk around it is really impressive.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's on the horizon? Like, is there any sort of technology you don't yet have in-house but you hope to, or any sort of groundbreaking projects you are aiming to be a part of? Like, obviously as engineers and driven humans, like there's always a next, there's always a benchmark. So what's next?
I mean, there's a lot of things we have on our list. Some of them we can't tell you. We
That's
have security
fine.
clearances.
I get it.
But we really like where the industry is headed. There's a lot of buzz around it. We have a ton of projects that we want to get started on with augmented reality. Yeah. So we have this model already built. So the main aspect of what we do is already there, and we can leverage that for creating the dollhouse views and the regular renderings that people already get. So becoming more of a full-scale rendering house kind of product, as well as, hey, you have marketing media, right? Why don't you put, we'll develop an augmented reality app for you that you put a little piece on your paper, you scan it, and then you can look at the apartment or the office or whatever it happens to be from any angle by looking on your phone, those kinds of things. Or new condos, that's very touch sensitive. So somebody needs to have a lot of touch points in the condo game to be able to really get invested in it. But right now, we don't have enough time to do that because we're working full time on actually delivering products.
I heard that.
Yeah. So that's our biggest issue right now, because we are growing so quickly. So we want to work on augmented reality, and we have a bunch of R&D that we need to do. So I mean, we're in the hiring process at this point, just trying to scale up as quickly as possible.
Right.
So who are you hiring? What kind of people?
Right now, it's the people that can do the actual work, direct labor to get it out the door. So these would be people like game developers, because what we're using right now is a gaming engine. And so people that understand that workflow can create this chair, this table, this scene beautifully. That's the kind of people that we're interested in the short term. In the long term, we are not salespeople. We are not marketing people. We have those skills now because we had to develop that. But we want to focus on what our strengths are, which is operations and technical development. So we need to hire those types of people as well. So really, we're looking for a lot of different talent.
It's awesome. So who all is on your team now? How big is your team now?
There's a couple of core people that we work with, especially on the marketing side.
Yeah.
And to actually outsource some of the work that we can't do totally.
Yeah.
But it's still pretty small. It's only a handful of people. So we're trying to figure out where the office is going to be when we start growing, and health plans and all that legal stuff. So those are the hard parts of starting your own business, because the technical aspect I feel comfortable with. That's my background. It's all the other stuff that you have to learn and find mentors to help you out.
Yeah. Let's talk about leadership. I mean, you guys are founding partners in this amazing company, and you're growing a team. How do you make sure that you are performing at a level that you feel good about and not draining your battery?
That's kind of a hard one.
Yeah, I mean,
we feel like we are draining our battery.
We are draining our battery a little bit, at this time.
It's hard because we feel very passionate about what we're doing in the industry and how we can actually help. And we never want to turn down business. So we end up working 12, 15 hours a day, 7 days a week, to be able to get everything out the door, be able to continue to grow the business and not just stay stagnant. So the leadership part is something that we've both had experience with at Raytheon, but we've also tried to figure out how best to take that into a much smaller company. So being at an 80,000 person company is very different than being at a 5-person company. It's really the demands are a lot different, because right now we have nobody else to go to. We have nobody else to really say, hey, how would you approach this problem?
There's no head of HR.
Internally?
No, there's not. I mean, what we're looking for primarily is just someone's work ethic. And because we can teach them, the technical aspects of it. I can teach them, how development works in real estate. But just having someone that we can go to and say, hey, we need you to figure this out. And them just not knowing how to do it, and not having anyone to turn to and say, okay, let me go start Googling it.
Self-starters.
Exactly. I mean, if we have someone like that, which we're looking for at this point, we're able to do a lot with them.
I mean, self-starters, somebody who takes initiative and wears a lot of hats. Because if we have somebody that just is very good at one small thing, we had a lot of those people at a larger company.
Right.
But as a smaller company, you need to be able to do some of everything.
Totally. What are a few ways that the community watching out there, both the Atlanta and the internet community, can help you guys? Obviously you're looking for the right people, so if anybody comes to your mind, reach out to us. What else? What do you need?
One of our biggest challenges right now is educating the market. In terms of, there are a lot of terms being thrown around, and even people who aren't really in the space, because it's a buzzword, they try to use that to sell whatever product or service they're marketing. So VR means a lot of different things to a lot of people. We can come in and say, hey, look, we do VR, and somebody who has seen a Google Cardboard little not great application got them sick will say, oh, you know what, I'm going to pass, because that's what they think it is.
That roller coaster did me in.
Yeah, exactly. So it's difficult when that's what you're fighting against. So we're trying to come up with the best ways to really describe what it is we do, and the outside audience can really help us by, I would say, knowing exactly what it is that we're doing, knowing exactly what the market in general is doing, and helping to not perpetuate these types of, oh, all VR is the same.
Yeah.
You know, so some of the people might be our customers. So if we do a good job explaining the differences between mobile VR versus web VR versus high-end VR, then they can help us spread that message.
Cool. Adam, anything you want to add to that?
No, I think Cameron covered a lot of it. I mean, in regards to people helping us out, it's just kind of getting our name out there. What we do, VR for the real estate, not only just helping from a marketing standpoint, but from a development standpoint as well. And yeah, so that covers a lot of it. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm stoked. Technology is just the coolest, and it's so much fun to be here in this city working on really big things. You don't have to be. I know you love Boston, but you don't have to be in Boston anymore.
No, you don't.
You don't have to be in New York City. You don't have to be in Silicon Valley. You can be right here in Atlanta, building the next big thing. And the community is amazing, and it's just so cool to have you here and hear about what you're doing, and keep making this city awesome. Thank you so much for being here.
Of course,
yeah,
of course. And actually, Atlanta is really great. I didn't know about Atlanta a lot growing up, and this was my first foray down into the South. But it's great. When we got down here, I didn't really understand a whole lot about what Atlanta had to offer. Then when we started the company, we said, oh, wait a minute, there's a huge tech industry in Atlanta. And to be honest, I think we're on the very short list for the Amazon headquarters.
Yeah.
Really excited about that.
I can feel it. I can just sense it. It's so close.
Yeah, we got lucky from, like Cam said, the tech side as well as the real estate development side. I mean, Atlanta's just blowing up completely with development all throughout the city, and it's been great for us.
It's all the cranes. I mean, it's a really exciting time to be in Atlanta and to be in technology.
You're 100% right.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for having us.
Yeah, Cameron, Adam, Atlas Bay VR, bringing your spaces to life with virtual reality for real estate. Boom! Check them out.
Thank you.
Thank you.